Put it down. Put it down. Put it down.
Police released body cam of a recent officer-involved shooting.
What is justice if you can't access it?
Learn how legal experts are taking the time out of their weekend to help people with legal troubles. These stories and more coming up.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College at the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
Good evening. Welcome to Grady Newsource. I'm Caroline Greger. Body cam video of an officer-involved shooting has been released. On October 14th, Athens-Clarke County police officers responded to a suspicious person call on Chalfont Drive. They encountered 54-year-old Bonnie Thomas, who was armed with a knife. Grady Newsource reporter Tasia Harper walks you through the video. We want to let our viewers know that the video contains graphic content that some will find disturbing. Tasia, it's over to you.
Yes, Caroline, the video is difficult to watch, but we felt it was important to us to share the video with you to shed more light on what happened. At the beginning of the video, you can see Thomas waving down Officer Lamar Glenn. Here, you see him get out of his car. Then he told her 7 times to put the knife down.
Please.
You can hear Thomas say multiple times that she has both a knife and a gun. She continued to approach the officer, and shortly after, he discharged his weapon, which caused the injury that resulted in her death. Natalie Amunds, Deputy Director of the GBI Office of Public Affairs, said the shooting is still under investigation and may take up to 90 days to wrap up. It will then be passed on to the Clarke County District Attorney's Office, where they will decide if the shooting was justified. Back to you, Caroline.
Thank you, Tasia, for the report. SPLOST tax is something that affects you every day with everything that you buy. But if you're not sure exactly what this tax is for, here's all you need to know. Every time you buy a cup of coffee or go grocery shopping, you're seeing SPLOST dollars at work. 1 cent per every dollar you spend is allocated towards SPLOST, which stands for Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax. The last time Athens voted on this tax was 2010. Early voting for Athens-Clarke County SPLOST 2020 ends November 1st, with Election Day being November 5th. SPLOST tax is a 1 cent per dollar tax. In Athens-Clarke County, there is an additional cent allocated for transportation SPLOST, making the total sales tax for Athens 8%, or 8 cents per dollar. SPLOST tax uses the money to fund special projects that would otherwise be paid for with general funds and property tax revenues. Athens-Clarke County plans to fund 37 projects with $314 million over the next 11 years if SPLOST 2020 is approved by voters. These projects are selected based on key components including economic prosperity, social well-being, and environmental protection. Athens-Clarke County has a higher sales tax than neighboring counties at 8% because of the additional transportation SPLOST. However, all of these counties do have a SPLOST tax at 1 cent per dollar. If approved by voters, the sales tax will continue to be 8%, and the 37 projects planned to be funded by the tax will be developed over the next 11 years. The Georgia Department of Transportation and the Federal Railroad Administration are taking public comment on 3 proposed high-speed rail routes from Charlotte to Atlanta, with one of the routes passing through Athens, Georgia. Tyler Metcalf is at the Multimodal Center, a potential location for an Athens train stop, with more.
Hi, I'm here outside the Multimodal Transportation Center, one of the hubs for public transportation here in Athens. And public transportation could be getting a huge change as a proposed train route from Athens to Atlanta comes from the Georgia Department of Transportation. It's titled the Greenville Corridor, and this high-speed rail can reach up to 220 miles per hour and cost up to $8.4 billion. I talked to environmentalist and John Knox about his take on the environmental impacts of this railway.
Yeah, I think it's almost certain that it would reduce pollution because any kind of train can carry a lot more people than an individual car. So even like a Toyota Corolla, it weighs several thousand pounds. You're dragging around 2 tons of metal to get yourself to one place. And so if you put a train on the tracks and you put 100 people in it, that's inevitably a big benefit from a pollution perspective.
And if you want to find out more about this story or find out about the other routes, you can go to my story on Grady Newsource to learn more.
Thank you, Tyler. Every 3 months, candidates running for the Georgia 2020 U.S. Senate race have to disclose their campaign finances. Just a few days ago, candidates disclosed who has contributed to them and how much. Francisco Guzman shows you how you can follow the money.
When the election cycle comes around, some corporations are quick to donate to candidates, maybe quicker than the average person. If you look at the data, of the money donated so far in Georgia's 2020 U.S. Senate race, only $700,000 of the $12 million raised so far comes from individual contributions under $200. The Federal Elections Commissioner's rules on campaign finances require candidates to disclose who gives them money and how much.
Naive to think that they're doing it just out of the kindness of their hearts. You know, they ultimately hope to be able to influence public policy. Now, this is not a quid pro quo, which would be called a bribe, and that would be illegal. So what you're doing with the contribution is you're creating access. So if you're an elected official and you've gotten money from a corporation, and somewhere down the road a representative, a lobbyist from that corporation comes by and says, hey, have you got a few minutes? You say, yeah.
For the 5 candidates running for Georgia's U.S. Senate in Covenant Center, David Perdue, Jonathan Ossoff, Teresa Tomlinson, Sarah Riggs, and Edward Terry, FTC's documents show companies like Home Depot, Delta Airlines, and Aflac contribute to candidates. If you want to find out what companies contribute to whom, go to GradyNewsource.com. We include the links so you can check out yourself.
With Johnny Isakson retiring, 2 Georgia Senate seats are up for grabs. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp has yet to appoint Isakson replacement. The Georgia primaries start on May 19th, 2020, and the general election is on November 3rd, 2020. Getting involved with the courts can be expensive. But this weekend, there's an opportunity to lessen the financial burden. The Access to Justice pop-up clinic will take place this Saturday from 9 to 11 a.m. at the East Athens Development Corporation. Grady Newsource reporter Tara Brawley explains the impact on the community.
It's just such a tremendous asset for our citizens that have issues that need to be addressed but may or may not be able to afford legal counsel or just don't even know where to start or where to go, and it's a way to point them in the right direction.
The Superior Court judges of the Western Circuit, along with the University of Georgia School of Law and the Western Circuit Bar Association, are hosting their monthly Access to Justice pop-up clinic this Saturday, where volunteer attorneys provide legal advice and information to those who need it. According to the 2017 Justice Gap Report, 86% of the civil problems reported by low-income Americans received no or inadequate legal help, and 71% of the low-income households experienced at least one civil legal problem in the last year. Eleanor Lanier, the Associate Dean for Clinical Programs and Experiential Learning at the Law School at UGA, explains why lessening the justice gap is so important.
You know, what is justice if you can't access it, or, you know, if your case just stays pending in the court for years and you never get a resolution of it? And so to me, you know, it's just a fundamental aspect of life here that we ought to be able to access the courts if we have a legal problem.
Tara Brawley, Grady Newsource.
For more procedural assistance to understand the legal process and what to do next, they also offer court help, where retired attorneys and paralegals provide free assistance twice a week. On Mondays, they're in the law library at the courthouse from 10 to 2, and on Wednesdays, they're in the magistrate court from 2 to 4. In just 6 months during the 2017 to 2018 flu season, more than 30,000 people were hospitalized for flu-related reasons. The CDC statistic is why the federal agency recommends that you get flu shots by the end of the month. Grady Newsource reporter Katie Kim shows you why we need the flu shot and how some people are getting it today.
That was great, thank you.
For Henry Tervachter, getting the flu shot is nothing new.
And then plunge.
And he'll never forget it.
Mom always calls and she's like, you got your flu shot this month? And it's like, I'm going.
Students like Tervachter got their flu shot at the University of Georgia College of Pharmacy's Farmtoberfest Health Fair, which also provides free health screening and health education. such as with a game of bra pong, which raises awareness for breast cancer.
The flu is so common that I think sometimes people downplay it a little bit, but it can really be a severe illness.
Abdullah says the event has seen success over the past few years.
So I think it's really great to have events like this for every major area of study to really just like make yourself aware and avoid that ignorance and be like just as well known as any medical professional.
Tervoctor believes everyone should get a flu shot.
When you really think about like your campus, your city, everyone as a whole, there's some people that can't get the flu shot every year, so it's kind of being like not only for yourself but being a team player and trying to protect everyone.
Katie Kim, Grady Newsource.
The health fair gives about 150 flu shots each year. If you weren't able to make it to the event today, you can go to the University Health Center on campus or your local doctor's office to get your flu shot. Coming up, how a sheriff department is using Jeeps to support local youth homes, and how increasing water bills is affecting a community.
Okay, so we drowned the fire,
Yep.
stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs? Just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
Love it.
Cross-referencing travel sites. And booking all your flights with those...
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like... Aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Water rates are going up for the third year in a row in Jackson County. Grady Newsource reporter Carly Reese gives us more details on the increase.
If you live in Jackson County, next year you'll pay a little bit more to use this, and to drink this. The Jackson County Water and Sewerage Authority approved a 5% increase in water and sewer rates for 2020. A 5% increase means the average person will have to pay $1.47 more on their monthly bill. But one Jackson County resident believes she already pays too much for water.
We live in a 3-person household, one of which being an infant, and we pay a lot of money for water a month. We water our grass for about 20 minutes twice a week, and that's it. Other than that, nothing out of the ordinary. And I will say our monthly bill is incredibly high for what we...
The new rates will go into effect March 2020. The Georgia Sheriff's Association is tackling the foster care prison pipeline this weekend with their Jeepin' for the GSYH Kids event. The University of Chicago study found that by the age of 17, more than half of the youth in foster care experience an arrest, conviction, or have spent a night in jail. If a foster child moves 5 times or more, those odds grow to 90%.
I'm here in front of the Beef O'Brady's on Old Pendergrass Road.
This is where the Jeepin' for GSYH Kids event will start. The event raises funds for the Georgia Sheriff's Youth Homes, where 55 to 60 foster children are cared for across 5 campuses in Georgia. Sheriff Janice Mangum leads the caravan in her own Jeep, much like this one. The GSYH combats the foster care to prison pipeline by offering care during early childhood and collegiate opportunities to older foster children. On average, only 10% of foster children graduate college. Any child living with the GYSH program when they graduate high school has the opportunity to attend college funded entirely by the GSA, as long as the student maintains a 2.0 GPA. All of the funds raised by the event go to supporting the campuses. The ride is over 70 miles long and it ends at 685 Tallulah River Road. I'm Aaron Smay, Grady Newsource.
100% of funds raised go directly to the Georgia Sheriff Youth Homes to support foster programs and fund college payments for the children. I'm Nixon Norman, and coming up, I'll be giving you a 5-day forecast.
Hello.
Hi, I'm from Blue Hood Stone Barns. We brought a meal for you and I'm here to serve it to you.
Okay, great. Come in.
Zucchini carbonara, made from zucchini that was harvested earlier this morning.
Again?
Hey, Dan Barber.
You have room for a little bit more?
Come
Come on in. Brochettes with sausage. So when we made that zucchini carbonara, you know, they're the end piece of the zucchini, and then the cores that we cut away, not to mention zucchini flower. Usually those get thrown out. We use them to create an entire second dish. Does that, oh.
Again?
I'm here to bring you your third course. It's the vines from your zucchini.
We'll have a little zucchini stem pasta, a different experience of zucchini. When we start to think differently about our food, we can get a lot more out of it.
This is delicious.
What do you think we can make out of this? 40% of food in America is never eaten. Cook it, store it, share it. Visit SaveTheFood.com.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation.
America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Laughing too hard at one of your colleagues' jokes at the office party? He's not even funny. Warning sign, those drinks are probably going to your head. Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
And now, the weather.
Good evening, I'm Nixon Norman with your Grady Newsource weather. Today I'll be bringing you the upcoming forecast for tonight and tomorrow. I'll be talking about this rainy weekend coming up, and I'll be giving you a 5-day forecast. For tonight at 6 p.m. we're going to have a degree of 68. It is going to decrease to 61 at 9 p.m. We're going to end off at 59 degrees at midnight. The rain for this weekend is going to start somewhere around 2 a.m. tonight. And as for tomorrow, at 9 a.m., you can expect the temperatures to be around 52 degrees. At noon, that is going to rise up to 63. And at 3 p.m., it is going to stay at 67. Here are the lows for tonight. And here are the highs for tomorrow. And as I mentioned, here is that 5-day forecast. As you can see, there's going to be a lot of rain happening. And here are the temperatures. And my name is Nixon Norman, and thank you for watching the Grady Newsource weather. People love their pets, and as the weather gets colder, pet owners may need to show some more love to their pets in order to help them battle these chilly temperatures. Meet Pebbles, an 8-year-old Chiweenie. She beats the cooler temperatures in style.
Pebbles actually has many outfits that she wears too. She's a part Chihuahua, so she tends to shiver even though she's not cold. It's just a trait of the wonderful Chihuahua breed, and she also has dachshund in her.
She also battles the chill and luxury.
And she sleeps in the bed under covers, so they are They like to be under the covers. They like to burrow. And so that's what Pebbles does for the winter.
If you're a pet owner, here are some tips to help your pet have a more comfortable winter, according to the AnimalHumaneSociety.org. Remove any caked on mud, ice, or road salt from their paws and coat. And make sure your pet's water is never frozen if it's outside. And if your pet's been outside for an extended period of time, check for frostbite on their nose, their ears, and their paws. Pebbles was adopted by Barisco from the shelter when she was only 4 months old and has been kept warm by her person ever since. Nixon Norman, Grady Newsource. So whether your pet is an indoor or outdoor pet, you may want to take some of these steps to make sure they stay safe as winter approaches. I'm Kat Hendrick, and coming up next, I dive into just what makes 41,000 fans sing Baby Shark just yesterday.
Hi, I'm Peter. And there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends. Come on in! Help yourself to anything. That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit SaveTheFood.com.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Attention travelers, next Tuesday a major power outage will cause complete chaos throughout the city. Food, water, and phone service will be in short supply. There will likely be panic citywide. Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
And now, sports.
I'm Kat Hendrick, and I've got a weird question for you. Have you ever seen 41,000 mostly grown, slightly tipsy adults screaming a children's song at the top of their lungs? Well, if you've been watching the World Series, the answer is probably yes. The Washington Nationals have beat the Houston Astros in both games of the series so far, and the Nats have had 5 home runs in the last 2 days. But the one thing that people can't stop talking about is the annoyingly catchy but billboard-topping children's song, Baby Shark. It's a sight you probably won't see in any other industry, but that's sports for you. And it got me thinking, what makes average job-going, mortgage-paying, baby-raising adults paint their bodies, fight in parking structures, get tattoos, and yes, even belt out a children's song with a couple thousand of their best friends when it comes to sports? Every day, sports prove to be far more than just a game. Senior Hannah Smythe says she still gets chills thinking about the Capitals winning the 2018 Stanley Cup.
The entire streets were flooded, and we're like outside the National Gallery of Art, and you're just cheering on your team, and it's one of the most special things I think I've been a part of.
But why? Patrick Doyle says it all boils down to something called burgeoning, basking in reflected glory. It's the tendency for people to associate themselves with a winner's success to the point where the accomplishment becomes their own.
And we see it in our language too. People say, oh, we won the game. And it's like, oh, you were on the field? You were doing that? Like, you were, no, I don't think you were. I think you were at home. I think you were, or like drinking Bud Light.
And as fan bases share wins and losses together, they begin to merge into one identity. Sports give people the opportunity to find common ground with just one glance.
I can tell from the way that they're dressed that they're a member of this in-group. I don't have to, ask them what church they're a part of, or, like ask them what school they go to. wearing it proudly on their shirt.
Sebastian Batanker says he really recognizes the power of sports most when he's at the airport.
Colombian, I have tons of Colombian jerseys, and every time I'm flying, I see somebody from Colombia wearing another jersey, and we just look at each other and like smile at each other, just so because we feel like even though we're separated from our country or hometown, we see that somebody else is representing like our culture, and it feels like it's uniting us, even if we don't know each other.
In today's social climate, people are constantly looking for ways to divide ourselves. Democrat and Republican, pro-LGBTQ and anti, rich, poor, black, white, and just about everything in between. But when that Hail Mary touches down, or that walk-off Game 7 Grand Slam is hit, you're hugging and high-fiving whoever is next to you. And in that moment, you don't really care who they are or what they believe in. And that's a beautiful thing. Kat Hendrick, Grady Newsource.
Coming up, learn how the Athens LGBTQ community is still celebrating its history.
Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Is the seat supposed to be forward-facing or rear-facing? Did they move to a booster seat too soon? It may be too late to check when you're on the road. Fortunately, you're on the couch. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Don't think you know. Know you know.
I'm a single mother, and I was the main one working, so I never thought that I could go back to school, you know? My sister, my mother, everybody wanted to help me with my kids. I could not have gotten my diploma without my family.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
It's a beautiful day out here, sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90-mile-per-hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it, let's go.
Thanks for watching. Go to GradyNewsource.com to find out more information. Thank you for joining us for today's evening news. I'm Caroline Greger.
Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of Georgia, which is solely responsible for its contents. Views expressed do not represent those of the administration nor the Board of Regents at the University System of Georgia.
What to expect when you're expecting
Like here.
a teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to teen-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys, preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
Ready for the... Mom, you don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Wait, why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where the Cavs go on vacation? New York.
Did you know parking over tall, dry grass can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
For October 23rd. 4th. Sorry. I directed today's show. I thought overall it went pretty well. We had some pretty good packages. Our anchor Caroline did really good. So the only comment I have is that some of the packages got in pretty late, like so late that we had to put them in the other computer instead of the TriCaster. It was like 5 o'clock before I found them in the TriCaster. So that's the only issue that I had today.
Okay, so first note is about the packages thing. I was saying repeatedly that if it was not in by 5, it was going to be dead. You all got it in by 5. That was good because the hard deadline was 5 o'clock. It was by 15 seconds for, I think, 2 of them, but they got in. But that was the hard deadline. The soft deadline is 4:30, so we had at least 4 packages come in after that deadline. So that's something to keep an eye out for in the future. I know today was hectic, and so let's back up to about 1:30. So we managed to record weather on time, and we got that done on time. We got that done pretty fast. That went well. We even got a extra lead and a tag done, which is not something we don't normally do, so that was great. That recording normally happens from 12 to 1, and we got done at 1, so that was fantastic. Then we had to do sports. Sports we started recording, or we were planning to start recording at 1:30. This isn't normally what happens. Normally we want to start at 1, and when we don't start at 1, we want to have something else record at 1, like extra things that we have to do in the studio. We had a couple of pre-recorded things to do on green screen. We had Tasia's body cam shooting, and then we had Francisco's. It's just not a lot was done by 1. So that pushed back our entire recording schedule. That includes the extra stuff at the green screen. That includes sports. That includes B-Block, which ended up being live. This was partially due to miscommunication, I think, because some of it was approved and some of it we could have pre-recorded. But also that might have looked a little bit weird because the camera set up between Caroline at the desk live and Caroline at the desk pre-recorded would have been different. But if it's separated by a package, I don't think anyone would have noticed. But the thing is that we should have been able to pre-record all of B-Block. And so as much as I think that the show today that went out looked good, everything leading up to it needed to be moved up by at least a half hour. It was chaotic, and I know we had to kill a live shot. The live shot that we did do went great, I thought. Let's see here. It was just a lot of stuff today that if one thing had gotten pushed back, if one thing had gone wrong, we could have very easily rolled with it. It's just that when it kept piling up and pushing other stuff back, it got to the point where we couldn't pre-record a block that we normally pre-recorded. And it was just not the kind of chaos that we should be encouraging. And
You're so delicate. That's just really delightful. And I appreciate what you're saying. So my question is, I approved the B-Block leads and tags, so what happened?
I asked, and I got...
They were approved. I had the little C.
When were they approved by? That's my question.
In time, because I made a point, because I thought that Kat's thing might be late. And in fact, I looked at Aaron's lead later on. I go, oh, this needs to be your lead. And then I went, oh, drat. We already recorded that. We can't change it. Well, that's fine. And at no point someone said, no, we didn't. It's like, okay. So
I was given information that I acted on, and that was the information I had.
That was on my end. It was more just everything that was going on and just not taking time to realize that. I saw one thing that wasn't approved, and then from there trying to get that approved, and then seeing that didn't get done because of everything else we were trying to get ready. So
what was the one thing that you felt needed to be approved that you were concerned had not been approved? And that's good. You need, if it's not approved, it's a hard stop. What was that?
I saw it was the B block tag for the Jackson.
So think about that just a minute. So this is just moving forward. It's a tag to the B block. You could have lived without it even if we hadn't. I remember asking Carly where that tag was, and she put it in there, and I approved it. But the point is, think about, and this is a learning thing. So rather than kill the entire thing, just go, I don't have this tag, I'm going to kill that tag. At the end of the day, it would have been really helpful, because we had to kill a live shot that probably would have been a really nice end to the show, because we were off time by a couple of minutes. But if something's not there, remember, if people don't get their work done, as your leadership, you reserve the right to go, you're dead. Figuratively speaking, you know what I mean, your story's dead. That's your privilege, and that is your responsibility. So just remember that moving forward when you produce guys, okay?
I don't really have a lot else to say. It's just like, we've reached the point in the semester where this kind of timing really shouldn't be an issue, and I know I walked in the door at noon, and within a half hour the A block had changed 2 or 3 times, and I understand that can throw off everybody's day, but it's just at that point I feel like we really need to make an effort to pull together and make sure as little gets pushed back as possible, so that we aren't recording something after the rundown meeting, because after the rundown meeting we should be entirely focused on preparing for the live show. And we weren't able to do that today. We had to pre-record something, and that took until at least 4, and at that point we're an hour out from the show. And that's when we should be entirely focused on getting live shots out the door, making sure they're prepared, making sure everyone has the equipment they need, and making sure that our anchors and everyone who has a live shot is in the place that they need to be as soon as possible. So it's just, because everything got pushed back, we did not have the time that we needed to prepare. We rolled with it. I would like to give a huge thank you to our entire volunteer staff and all of our managers, because I feel like together we managed to put out a very good show. It's just everything leading up to it really needed to be improved. Okay.
You guys, that the show did get on with as few errors as it did, because honestly that's extremely difficult to do when there's chaos. So understand that news by its very nature is chaotic. I mean, it's news, and things are going to happen, and you have to be responsive to them. It's why systems and processes, and honoring those systems and processes, are so vital, because it's the system and the process that keeps you from running off the rails when you do have police body cam coming in and other breaking news happening. The systems and processes save you. Okay?
Yep.
So don't throw those out the window.
Yep. Just
thank you, though.
Wrong kind of chaos for today. And with that, I am done. Please have a good evening and a good rest of your post show.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Josiah. Okay. Producer, thoughts?
Okay.
That's fine. That's fine. Go ahead.
So I'm the digital producer for this week, and I just want to say that on Tuesday we had 6 things published, and today we had 8 things published, which is a +2. And with that said, 3 of them were for the digital platform on Grady Newsource, which I'm pretty proud of. So 8 have been published, 2 of them on Instagram, 3 on Twitter, and then one, or like we still have one pending. And then, yeah, it was pretty good on the digital side. The only thing is, I would advise for the digital people next week, like digital MMJs, is that I think that you guys should be going, like after you guys finish something, you guys should be going to the digital producer instead of me going after you guys. Or like not saying that that's happened, but I'm just saying like for next week, that would be really good.
Not
good
saying
thought.
that happened. I just thought it up. I'm not saying. You're totally saying it happened because it happened.
And yeah, and just, and a couple other things that I took note of is when you guys interview people, there's a lot of times where there's like a lot of extra space and that just is very distracting. Or you guys interview people and you guys center them in the middle and there's a lot of extra space on the back. And a rule that we learned in Shumway's class is that you want to like give them really close-up shots and like wherever they're facing is where you want like their look to be. So like if you're interviewing me, like the frame should be like this instead of like this.
Thank you for saving me from saying that, and especially with the, yeah. Thank you. That's really important. And we know Alex shoots good video.
But just a thought or two out there. But that's all I have.
Thank you. And you did a really nice job. I know you came in Tuesday and it was like, where's your plan? Plan. But then once you kind of wrapped your arms around it, you did a nice job executing it. And I really appreciated how diligent you were about making sure everything's truthful, everything's factual, and double checking. And I know, I drove you crazy. Change this, change this, change this, change that. But truth and facts are non-negotiable. And you just rolled with it, and you did a very nice job. All right. So Tasia was our content manager, and in that role, guys, the content manager is the person where all the contact flows in, they get overwhelmed, they are responsible for logistics, getting people out and handling breaking news. But the first question I always ask is, hey, we've got something, digital, what do you want, producer, what do you want? And we had that happen this afternoon. And that's an important thing to remember in that role.
I don't really have much to say as content manager. Like we did have breaking news, but it wasn't like you guys had to handle because that's my job. But I will say, watching the broadcast, I noticed that only, I would say like 3 of y'all wrote to the video that y'all had, and that was kind of like, yeah, at this point in the semester, like, if you're talking about something, I shouldn't be seeing like something else. So that was like something that I think we need to work on. But other than that, yeah, good job.
This is awesome. Y'all know enough to where I don't have to say anything. I just stand here and smile. I like it.
Yeah. Today wasn't an awful show. It wasn't a bad show. But I think what it really today showed us was timing is everything. And that was a clear fact for every one of us here.
Do you know what happened to us? We were 2 minutes off. And, when we send crews out for lives, and then we have to kill a live, that's just heartbreaking. And we actually had a plan so that if we were tight on time, we literally said, hey, we won't do a package, so if we're tight on time, maybe we can dump out the video and just talk. And, we had an alternate plan that we couldn't even execute that because we were so far off on time. Do we know what happened there?
I think, at least for me, what I saw like during the show is that some of those leads and tags took a lot longer than expected. That I had down for 10, and it took almost 20, 25.
So
and
if you take 4 leads that are supposed to be 10 and they're 20 or 25, you get a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that too was something that I didn't get to take into account until things actually happened.
Did everybody stick to their allotted time in their packages?
Yeah. Everyone was pretty close to there.
And then the other problem was when you didn't pre-record your other blocks. The beauty of that is you have a strict time. You know exactly what you have. And sometimes people trip over their words, their fits and starts and halts. And so you want to build in, a little bit of float time.
Yeah.
And we lost an opportunity to do that. Again, it just shows, news is dominoes. You one thing goes south and it's
yeah. So in the spirit of just taking a look at what we did that we can improve, the notes that I have for you guys, Tasia, thank you for stepping up to the plate and being able to do that. I mean, that was interesting as well, that we had that opportunity for some kind of content to happen and switch our whole show over. So thank you for that. With that being said, I like your stand-up. But you and Francisco were in front of the green screen. And you just kind of stood there and just talked to me. But there was things happening behind you that I would have loved to have seen you guys interact. Hey, take a look at this, and then go ahead.
So just for you guys wanting to go in front of the green screen, for me, I wanted to stand like on the side of where you could see like the video going on, but that was me moved to the side, so I couldn't move from that spot, or it would look like weird, if that makes sense, because I was like cut and then like moved over. So I did want to kind of like reference, but I couldn't move. And I don't know if that was the same thing for you, like if they told you to like stand there and like don't move because your frame was like cut there.
So if we can't move, then we're not going to do the green screen, because the
Well, it
whole
was
point
just-
of having it is
I
being
couldn't
able
move because I wanted to be on a certain side instead of just right in the middle.
Sure.
So they had to cut that and put me on that side.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for your efforts, you guys. I think, the hope every week is that you learn one thing that you can build on and add to your toolkit, so that when you walk out of Grady Newsource, you get a big old tool belt, pulling on your pants, and it's got all kinds of tools, and you learn which tool to use for what job. But we still have more tools. So I want to talk a little bit about yesterday. So most of you had a pretty big day yesterday, and it certainly seemed that you got a lot out of it. And my hope this morning was that I would see some execution of that, because you guys seem to really take that to heart. And instead of execution, I really saw some things going backwards, and it was interesting to me. And I'm not sure why. I'll think about it, and I'll come up with something. And I don't know if it'll be right or not, but it was interesting to me. So what I would like to hear from you guys is, what did you come in here committed to doing after your interviews yesterday, and what got in your way of doing that? And what are you going to do different next time to kick that out of your way? Caroline, let's start with you.
So today I originally had a cool idea to do like the vlog style video, and that's what I talked to you about yesterday, not just doing stand-up, making it more interactive. So I had all that
We were excited about that, right?
Yeah, I was excited about it. I thought it was pretty cool. I liked it. And then things did not go my way. I'm not going to go into it because no one cares. But it didn't happen the way I wanted it to flow with the story. And so that just kind of threw me off. My video was dead because it had no impact anymore. It was kind of just pointless. And it was so late in the day I had to record for Anchor stuff, and I just didn't really know what to do. So I ended up just doing my voiceover with the graphics I made. So I had the intent to do something cool and different, but then
Road to Hell's paved with good
it's
intentions,
just
right?
really threw me off when the whole
When your
price
story
thing,
changed.
Yeah, it completely changed, and it's something that I couldn't have completely done for the Today Show.
So here's the thing. Caroline's story, Caroline found out some news with her story. And it challenged the truthfulness and the veracity of her original story.
Yeah.
Wow. So of course we're new. And while everything else is negotiable, truth and accuracy and facts are never negotiable. Those come first, no ifs, ands, or buts. So she had to pivot. How might you, in looking at what you did and I think the pivot throws you guys off. And you're going to have to learn that this happens, frankly, more often than not. We've kept you in a little bit of a cotton ball environment so that it doesn't happen too much. But we're going to have to push a little harder now to be more timely, and those pivots are going to happen more. There's one way you can protect yourself, and that is to know as much about your topic as possible. You knew quite a bit, but then you found out something new that went, what? That we needed to investigate. How might you, in reflecting with what you saw, what might you, if you come up with anything between a few hours ago and now that you might have done differently?
Well, something that I noticed whenever I saw the prices, like, oh, this is weird, but I just didn't really think anything of it. I was like, oh, I'll just talk about the difference in tax in the county. But I wish that I would have thought then. I was like, well, this shouldn't be this way, and started that earlier, because by the time that had
that I had pivoted, and I realized that I was right up at like 3:30, and I had to record and stuff. So that was just, it was just too much going on. But I wish that I would have kind of realized those things earlier, made the calls that I made earlier, and start working on that instead of what I focused on.
So here's something else that might have helped you. And I'm going to talk about this with all of you. One of the things that you guys heard yesterday from the recruiters was getting characters in your story. We've been talking about that for a couple of weeks, right? For a couple of weeks we've been working with your packages. You know, the first 6 weeks we get you out and make you talk to officials that terrify you so that you grow some armor and understand your duty and your obligation to the public is to go head-to-head and face-to-face and get the lawmakers and the policymakers on the record, because that is your responsibility to the public, because I've got to take my kid to soccer, I've got supper to cook, I've got a job to do, and I don't have time to hold the people who impact my life accountable. That's your job, and we do it. And you guys have figured that out. And once we get that, that's information, right? But then we got to go to impact, because information in a vacuum has no value. Information only has value because it impacts real lives. So I wonder, Caroline, if you had thought character, if you had maybe talked to a few people coming out of stores that just bought something and just asked them, hey, I'm not trying to get all up in your business, how much tax did you pay on the stuff you just bought? And if you'd have had, even a camera on a selfie stick, I keep pushing you guys, take those mobile units out, guys. You'll get different stuff. You'll be more engaging. And if you had said, hi, I'm with Grady Newsource. I'm doing a story on the SPLOST tax. I'm curious. So what'd you buy today? What happened there? That's some more of your business. Or, sure, I bought, some books, and I bought some socks. How much you pay for that? Or I bought some groceries. What was your groceries? $208. So my tax on this was, nearly $28. I'm just roughing it out. How can you buy groceries? I got 4 kids. I got to go once a week. Those kids get eaten out of the house. If you had some of that, whether your story pivoted or not, even what you put on the air would have had greater interest and greater movement. So get your characters, guys. Don't make that something that you do as a secondary. Make that your primary. Impact on real people, and it'll save you a lot even in the pivot. Second thing, I loved your graphics. They were very gleeful and colorful, and you put a lot into them, and you had a lot of information. But if I turned on my television, I'm not trying to read a newspaper. Too much stuff. Never more than 3 bullet points, okay, guys? Because that's all people can take in. After that, it's just I'm overwhelmed with information. Make sense? Yes. Okay. All right. Kat, you did get some characters. I'm curious, you had the guy on the iPhone. How did, I did not quite understand that.
So he was a PhD student that specifically
he was
studies.
great. I really enjoyed what he had to say. It was really important. What he said created real value of that sort. I did not know there was such a thing as birthing. Did he make that up? I mean, is that a thing?
No, it's been a thing since the 70s.
What?
Yeah, it was discovered. A professor counted how many of his students came to class wearing a jersey after a win versus after a loss, and realized that they're more apt to support their team after, a win, because they feel proud to be a part of that.
I would have loved that information in your story. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I think that my issue, number one, is B-roll. That's been my Achilles heel for a little bit now, and something that I need to really get on top of. With him, he could only do a FaceTime. He wasn't in the state. And so
tell me that, so that I don't think it's weird. Just say, Joe Blow could only, was able to FaceTime with me. Don't say, you don't have to go, was only able to FaceTime. You go, I was able to FaceTime with Joe Blow.
Yes.
And then, so when we think B-roll, guys, so this term is verging. And it's, what does it stand for?
I wanted, basking in reflective glory.
Yeah. That would have been fun to have on there. He was able to FaceTime with me and taught me a new term, verging.
That was what in an ideal world, I wanted to have it like the acronym and then do the little words came out.
Yeah.
But he could only do it at 3:45, which...
You didn't know about verging?
I didn't know about verging until then. I had read it on something, but I needed, like you said, I can't just take it from the internet. I needed somebody to tell it to me firsthand. And so I was kind of in a pinch, and it was a time management thing where my real story. Like if I didn't have him and him saying that,
Sure.
it would have just been like, woohoo, sports are fun.
Gotcha.
Which is what I was so fired up about yesterday after
Uh-huh.
Tegna, is about telling, you know, the story behind the sports and using your personality and like that kind of a thing. That's what I was really excited about doing today.
And I think you accomplished that. I just think you had more heft to it.
And but with him, with that interview being so late, I mean, I didn't get my script approved until after 4:30,
Right.
and then by that time, I didn't have any, you know, B-roll for a handshake shot
Okay,
for
now
him.
run a crawl. So, interesting. Think in the future. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be rude, but at the end of the
you're right.
day, you know, there are people when you go
It
to
was
work,
just a
they're
timing
not going
thing.
to watch a phone.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So, what did you learn from that? What might you do differently? Because you learned something new. You did a good job inculcating it. It gave the story heft, meat, and weight. You needed to put it in there. But what might you have done? You mentioned B-roll being a challenge. I would say that you already had the young lady. You already knew that the professor in the 1970s said that after a winning game, kids wore jerseys, but after they lost, not so much. Does anybody around here have any jerseys? Was there maybe some Bulldog stuff we could have shot?
Yeah, I just wasn't thinking creatively enough in my downtime.
It's not just you. I want all of you to think like that. Carly Reese gave us a really good example. She only does it with water, though, and toilets. Just, you know, if there's something with water, Carly's having a toilet flush. But it's great night sound. No, story two. But the deal is that she didn't get that. She, you know, the impact of a water bill is water. So think about that. If he says something about jerseys, we get a jersey, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But I like the heft of that story. And you went out and got a character. Nixon didn't have a human character, but by God, Pebbles was a character. She's the one name from the show I remember. Pebbles.
All right.
That was right?
Uh-huh,
Pebbles.
yeah.
So you created a character.
Yes, I did. And I truly don't have any complaints about today except one. And
I didn't ask you a complaint.
well, I
just
know.
want you
I'm
to-
going to
how
get
might
to
you
your
make it
question.
better?
I know the question. You said, what are we excited? What did we come in here excited for?
Mhm.
And I was excited to come in here and do my voiceovers and things more conversational.
Okay.
And I attempted to do that. And in that, I heard that I had lost some of my cadence that I naturally have anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I guess I was caught up in one, trying to be conversational. I was trying to be like, well, maybe I should stop trying to do like this sometimes.
I think that's right.
But the thing is, it like completely went black instead. Like it was not gray. I wasn't in the middle. It was. So I just have to find that happy medium between things.
You mentioned something to me that you had this kind of speed where you
Well,
didn't have enough
and that was
B-roll.
my second point.
So what, what might you do at the outset? Because guys, it's
Right.
all what you do in the field.
Right. Originally, Pebbles wasn't my character. I should have had more B-roll of him, and then maybe I wouldn't have had to speed, and then I wouldn't have lost my cadence when I was talking on my voiceover. So it was technical things, but yeah.
Okay. Tyler.
I didn't have a package today. I didn't go to Tech today, but honestly wanted to do a written story because I haven't really written any substantial piece of content for Grady Newsource yet. So I wanted to do that, and I think I did pretty well today. Like I don't really have any complaints. I think I guess I have to just learn how to ask better questions in general. I feel like I've been struggling with that. Like I'll be so focused on one part of the story that I'll kind of get locked into what the answer I want from him, or the answer that would kind of fit to where
To your preconceived, to your belief,
notion, But yeah, that's probably what I did.
So Tyler's making a really important point. I actually thought you did well today. I thought you did well calling John Knox. I thought you did well getting, some video of him. Remember, if you have somebody on screen, though, anonymous man to us need his font and his title. And we didn't have that. He was just sort of naked video, and we don't want to do that. So remember that. And I know it was late in the day, but think about that even if I've got a picture of him, my audience needs to know who he is.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had it on at the front. I didn't put it on for the whole time, but I had his name and his title at the front.
Yes. I think I would have left it up there a little bit longer because the soundbite was so long.
Okay.
I actually liked your story. I thought you were concise in your live shot, and that was good. You were better live. I want you to practice, though. When we have these mics, we tend to wave them around. We were actually watching Soriano as she was getting ready for a non-existent live shot, and somebody was saying, "Oh my God, I hope she doesn't wave her mic around like that." I know, but I said, why is it that whenever anybody has a handheld, they become like a nightclub star? You know, like they're going to sing with it, and they rode like this. I know, but I'm just saying that everybody tends to do that. Tyler's doing it right now. So concentrate on being still, because you tend to get some motion, and then your mic gets motion. All of you just be still, because it can be distracting. But I thought it was improved.
All right, that is our post show for this evening, everybody.